It is day 4 of March Madness, and I am here with my Magic Circle to practice our Magic Circle mini workout that is inspired by our exercise of the day, the one leg circle. All right, we are going to get started today laying back on our mats, doing some of my favorite stretches and mobility work for the hips that we can do with our Magic Circle. So you're going to lay back and you're going to lasso your right foot for me, or your left if you want to start with your left, either foot. You're going to lasso a foot for me. And with the other leg, it can either be extended straight if that feels okay for your body, or you can bend it and have kind of your foot flat on the mat. So I want to be able to hold my Magic Circle, keep my shoulders anchored. I have my leg bent to start with, and I'm just going to start with seeing if I can straighten my leg and find a little stretch in the back of the leg. All right, so depending on your flexibility and your mobility, that might be enough to try to get to a straight leg and still hold your circle. If you're a little more flexible, you might be able to straighten your leg and gently pull back towards you, keeping your pelvis or your hips anchored as the back of the leg stretches. Okay? And if you're even more flexible, having that leg straight will be an option for you as well. So just add some breath to this. We're going to inhale and exhale. And just bend and straighten the leg. So we're kind of going in and out of our stretch through the whole back of the leg. Likely you're going to feel that in your hamstring. You probably will feel it in your calf a little bit as well. And then let's just see if we can hold the leg straight and just be here and take some breath. For me, I can kind of pull my shoulder blades down and back, and I feel like I'm kind of hanging on the circle a little bit, and that pulls my foot back toward me, so it gives me a little more stretch as my ankle gets to flex toward me a little bit, and really just getting a nice stretch in the back of the leg. Okay, now hopefully you can find a place where you can have your leg pretty straight. If it needs to be a little bent, that's okay. If you can have it straight, great, have it straight. I'm going to hold this circle with my same leg that I have up in space. And then my other arm's going to be beside me. And I'm going to do a little inner thigh stretch. So I'm going to take my leg out to the side. And then I'm going to bring it back over my hip. All right. As I'm doing these, I'm going to try to keep my hips stable and not let myself shift or rock in the hips. And I'm just going to where it is a comfortable, good stretch for my body. So we'll take that leg out to the side and we'll bring it back up. Let's do like 2 more of those. Just leg out to the side and bring it back up. 1 more time. And on this one, if it feels good to you to hold it out there, go ahead and hold it out there. Maybe you want to explore like pulling it towards you or just little different angles, moving your foot and ankle around, that kind of thing. Take a few breaths there. Still try to keep your hips nice and anchored that whole time. When you're feeling ready, you're going to bring the leg up and across your body. Switch hands, grab it with the other hand, and then start exploring pulling it across your body. So maybe start and see how far can you go and keep your hip down. And that might be enough for you today. Maybe you want to stay there. If it feels like a good movement to you to lift your hip and take the leg across a little further, play with that. Keep your shoulders anchored. You'll feel a little more twist through your back and your hips. And then you can come back by pulling that hip back first and then bringing that leg back. So try that again. You'll do the leg first, keeping your hips anchored. Then you'll kind of pick up your hip and get some rotation through your back. Taking the leg across, and then you're going to pull your hip and leg to come back up. Let's do a few more of those. Add some breath in, maybe a nice big inhale as you reach across, pick your hip up, and then exhale, feel your abdominal muscles pull in, bring that hip back, and then bring that leg. Let's get 1 more. Leg goes across, pick up that hip, get a little twist, check in on those shoulders, and then hip and leg to come back. All right, let's switch out. Let's do all of that on our other leg. So remember we just lassoed our foot I have my like balls of the feet kind of on the pads of the circle, but you could play with it. And then the other leg, your standing leg, could be bent or you could have it straight to go with what feels best for you. I'm going to start with a bent leg and then I'm going to straighten it and find my stretch. Remember, that's going to be different for everybody. No right or wrong on that. You might need to pull it back towards you a little to feel a stretch. Okay, go for that place. It feels like a gentle stretch in the back of the leg. All right, no extreme stretches. Let's do one more on those, and then we'll hold one. So we'll just straighten the leg, and we'll just hold there. And take some breath. And again, just be in a place where it feels like a good, gentle stretch in the back of your leg. Always fine just to kind of hang out here. Maybe you want to wiggle. Maybe you want to like move the circle around a little bit. Just little shifts of the leg side to side or pulling it towards you away. That's going to change that stretch. Do what feels good for your body. Next up, we're going to take the leg to the outside of the body. So I'm holding with my same arm there, and I'm going to take it out just to where I can keep my hips anchored. If you find yourself rolling that hip, probably that end range, and then come back over top your hip. Inhale, you can take the leg out. I kind of like leaving my hand here on my hip, but you could also like have that hand on the mat and then come back. So we're just reaching out, maybe finding a little bit of that inner thigh stretch. There is not a right or wrong how far you go. It's really just how far is it do I need to go to feel a little stretch, and I still feel like I can keep this hip nice and anchored, which feels like a little work on this leg, this hip. If you want to, just stay out there for one. Maybe you just want to be out there and kind of explore and hold out there. Notice your breath. Right? Just using those core muscles to help anchor our hips and our torso as that leg's out there. When you're ready, you're going to bring the leg back over top the hip, and then we're going to go across the body. So I'm going to switch out my hands on my circle. I'm going to start pulling the leg across. It doesn't take much for me to find a stretch, keeping my hip down. And then if you want to go further, you can pick up your hip and reach across. When you come back, think of pulling your hip back to the mat first and then the leg. When I'm doing this stretch, my standing leg is trying to not overly move. So I'm not letting it roll out to the side. I'm holding it pretty still. It's going to move some, of course, but, you know, in theory, as I pick up my hip and get a little bit of that twist, I'm trying to hold my right leg pretty still, pretty anchored, you might hear me say. And back. Let's do one more there. Of course, if you want to hold one out there, you could definitely hold one a little bit. Play around. And then, when you're feeling ready, you're going to bring that hip back and then that leg. All right, next up, I want us to take, I'm going to come up here to seated for just a moment. We're going to take our circle underneath our lower leg. So it doesn't exactly matter where it's at, but somewhere under your calf, ankle where it's comfortable. We are going to be flexing your foot. So kind of flex your foot and make sure you're in a kind of comfortable spot in there. And then go ahead and lay back on your mat. I'm going to just bend my other leg. Right? My hips are anchored. My abs are pulling in. I'm going to try to have that leg on the magic circle nice and straight. And I want us to work on what I call our anchor work here. I want us to take our straight leg and we're going to press down into the circle for a 5 count. Go slow on these, otherwise you might tip your circle over. Inhale, I'm going to press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhale, come back up. And then we're going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let it come back up. You should be feeling your butt and the back of the leg. Right? Notice as your foot still flexed as you press down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let that circle come back up. Let's do it again. Down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let that circle come back up one more time. Down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then bring the leg back up. And then we have to switch, so feel free. I'm just going to come up to seated and switch. Adjust it on my other leg. I'm going to get my foot flexed, ankle flexed. I got a comfortable. This could be lower. This could be a little higher. Right, go with what feels best for you. I'm going to bend my other leg. I'm going to have this leg pretty straight. on my magic circle. And then I'm going to do my press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let the circle come back up. Press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to let it come back up. And press down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let it come back up. Let's do 2 more of those. You could inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, let it come back up, or switch that breath. And press down, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let it come back up. Good, okay. And then carefully take your circle out of there. All right, we're gonna head into our one leg circle using our magic circle. Here's our setup. We're gonna have our magic circle over our chest. We'll have our butt of our palms on our circle squeezing in, and we really want to feel our shoulders nice and anchored. Let's start with our right leg up in space. I'm going to have my right leg over my hip or maybe a little further away. I'm going to turn out the leg. My left leg is very active. Remember that work we did in the magic circle. You're going to push your left heel down into the mat and kind of fire up those muscles. And then the action, we take the leg across, we do that little hip lift we practiced, we bring the leg back. When I hit my midline with my leg, my hip stays stable for the rest of the circle. Inhale for part of that, and then an exhale, circle, bring the leg over your hip. We're going to shoot for 5, reach it across, circle down and around and back up. Inhale and exhale to circle. Feel that left leg pressing down into the mat to really anchor. I think we got one more there. Reach across, circle around, back up. Okay, we got to reverse. I do want to say if you need to bend your knee a little, that's okay. Take it to the outside. When you go across, pick up your hip and circle around. Inhale to start. Exhale as you circle. Feel that left heel keep pressing in. Lift and circle. Inhale to start and exhale. Lift and circle. Last one. And then we'll bring that leg down and we got to switch and do it all on the other leg. So wiggle around. Standing leg is nice and anchored. I'm flexing my foot. My left leg is reaching up to the ceiling over my hip or a little lower if you need. Turn out the leg. Squeeze your circle to anchor your shoulders. We're going to go across. Pick up that hip. Circle down and around. Remember, we pick up the hip, and when you hit your midline right there, your hip stays stable for the rest of the circle. Inhale across. Exhale, circle around. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Exhale, circle around. We got one more. And then we pause and reverse it. The first part of the circle, hip stable. Hit your midline, pick up, and do that little rotation. Inhale to start. Exhale, pick up and circle. Check in on that right leg. What's it doing? Is it nice and anchored? We got 2 more. To that outside, and then exhale, circle around. Last one. And then bring that leg down to the mat. You could do a little roll up to come up to seated, and then we are all done. Oh, thank you for joining me today for some magic circle fun and some March Madness fun. I hope to see you tomorrow.